Oh yes, good evening everybody, and you're very welcome back to LeedsBros for your Thursday evening transfer news roundup here on LeedsBros. Hope everybody is keeping and doing well. We've got a good bit to get stuck into this evening. As always, we've got an update on Shay Charles. Went very quiet over the last couple of days. We have information of a new bid put in from Leeds United. Again, we're going to talk about Zion Suzuki. There's a bit of mixed reports going on in regards to the goalkeeper Leeds United are chasing down, and we're also going to talk about a potential outgoing as well from Ellen Road, and of course much more as always. Before we do get into the stream, guys, you know the drill. Do us a massive favour, smash a like on it, and of course if you're new here, hit that subscribe button as well. Let's go for 100 likes on this one. Dylan, let's get into it. Let's dive straight in. Shay Charles, we got a little bit of news today from the man that has been reporting about this from the very start, Simon Jones from the Daily Mail. Little bit of confusion in this one. So we initially heard that Leeds United had interest. We then bidded 20 million for him. Last week, supposedly, we bidded 25. Southampton turned it down and they wanted a fee of 30 million. But we got news this morning from Simon Jones. He says Leeds have upped their bid for Southampton's Shay Charles to 23 million plus add-ons, with Man City understood to have a 15% sell-on clause. So a little bit of confusion in this one, Dylan, because we heard last week it was 25. So we heard there was 25 on the button. 23 plus add-ons, God knows how much that is, Dylan, but not exactly the 30 million that it was believed that Southampton. Just before we came live on stream as well, Zinny Boswell, he did tweet, Leeds United have improved their offer for Shay Charles in talks with Southampton. Leeds United's initial bid of 20 million was rejected. Negotiations for the Northern Ireland midfielder have been described as ongoing. So he doesn't mention anything about a 25 million bid, Dylan. So last week, what it looks like is there was no 25 million bid at all.
It's up in the air there, and it's quite frustrating because us as fans sitting here just want to simply know what's going on with players and who are you getting in, who are we getting out, sort of, you know. But I think with the Shay Charles one, what I mentioned before, I think 30 million is way over the limit. If I'm being honest, 25 I think is the absolute limit for me. 23 plus the add-ons, I suppose, when you look at it, doesn't sound too bad, but it all determines on what the add-ons are. But it's frustrating that one person is saying one thing and then the other we're trying to give it to, you know, everyone that's watching. A fair play to everyone sticking with us. But then we're not necessarily backtracking, but we're only giving the information that we're simply receiving. And I don't think anyone knows what's going on, and that's the really frustrating thing about it. But then obviously with Palace are obviously in there as well with Shay Charles. So, you know, when we were told
Palace still haven't made an official bid, Dylan. From what we've heard. We heard talks were good between Southampton and Palace, but as of now, we still haven't heard that Crystal Palace have bidded yet for Shay Charles. So it's a little bit like the Suzuki one. It's all over the place at the minute.
It's just up in the air. It's as I mentioned, it's so frustrating. Like, yeah, look, if you don't laugh, you'd cry, and we have to laugh at these things. But I just think someone that coming out with kind of more concrete, you know, evidence to what's actually going on. I think that's really where we're at for me, anyway. And as I mentioned, I think 30 million is the absolute limit. 23 plus the add-ons, I suppose, doesn't sound too bad. But all the
we don't really know what plus the add-ons is, Dylan. That
Exactly,
could be plus what add-ons? Like, is it 5 million? Is it 8 million? Is it 10 million? Like, what is the add-ons? Like, we don't really know. But we'll see. We'll see if Southampton accept it. From what we heard during the week, I think it wasn't on Monday or Tuesday, we heard that Southampton were holding out for 30 million and Palace joined the race, and they were obviously happy to get a bit more. So we'll see. We'll see how this one develops. But that is the news as of today. Michael Doyle is here. Let's get into a couple of your comments. He says, "Hi Darren, got your merchandise today. Lovely mug. We'll be enjoying a cup of tea from that. Thanks. Shame about the air miles though. I know, mate. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable trying to get stuff shipped from the UK into Ireland, and the customs charges. We were the same as well, getting our few bits. It's a nightmare, making. Unfortunately, where we're at is just no way around it, isn't it? Obviously, with you know, the whole Brexit situation in Ireland, it's costing us at this stage, but." Yeah, we won't get into all that boring stuff. Kieran is here. He says, "Lucky you, make my alleged better half nicked mine." Mine is on the way. You'll have to fight it back, man. You'll have to fight and get it back. Stephen Bourne is here. He says, "Hi lads, hi chat. If the latest bid for Charles is isn't accepted. Oh, isn't accepted. Sorry. The club need to draw a line in the sand and move on. Yeah, I think I'm with you, Theo. And let's have a chat about it. And guys, in the comments, get your thoughts in as well, Dylan. Like, to drop 25, 30 million on a player that isn't really the priority position right now in this moment of time, where we definitely need left back cover, we need more attacking players, a striker, and and a creative player. We don't really need a midfielder, so it feels like dropping 25 million at this stage. It doesn't feel like the sensible thing to do. And particularly as well, the goalkeeper situation is still very much up in the air because we've no news about Carl Darlow signing his contract extension. So it feels a little bit against what Leeds United should be going for at this moment in time.
Yeah, look, we've said this over the last few weeks about certain positions in this team that certainly should be looked at a bit more. And I think with the money that we're looking to more or less spend on Shay Charles for a position that's not really a major kind of thing to be looking at right now. Ampadu, obviously there, pun intended, the midfield is stacked. Future-wise for Leeds United, I understand it, but I suppose it all depends on what's in the kitty for Leeds. And I'd like to think that the 49ers and the recruitment side of it are looking at these positions moving forward. And look, there's still a long time to go. I'm not going to panic just yet, but left back cover, we need obviously a replacement for Pascal Struijk. We need, probably another winger or two. Well, I know we're still waiting on Harry Wilson one, but, and the attacking options as well, and the striker. So there's certainly positions in this club that need really looking at, as opposed to spending 25, maybe 30 million on Shay Charles for a player. Let's be honest.
I would be very happy going into this season again with another, that midfield. I don't think the midfield needs upgrade now.
Yeah.
Shay Charles comes in and, the likes of Longstaff moves on and, we obviously need to replace him. Absolutely fine. Yeah. But I would have been happy going into the season with the midfield we have. And last season I was delighted with the options that we had in there. Definitely at the back, we do need another centre-back. And now probably two that Pascal Struijk has departed. And as we said, the goalkeeper situation. And we do need another striker as well to supplement Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Lucas Meche. So, yeah, it does feel like a little bit of a weird one. But I think Dylan Leeds have to take a look at this now. They've obviously gone in with this bid. We don't know if it's the second or the third, but we've definitely gone back in again with another bid. If this one is rejected, Dylan, I believe Leeds should walk away from this deal. It's been stringing on. It's nearly 3 weeks now, since we first heard about Shay Charles. So it's one of them that, we if it's going to be rejected, I think walk away and look elsewhere if we do want a midfielder.
I agree as well. And look, I suppose maybe, it wouldn't be too late now, but there is the option, if you're that desperate to get another midfielder in, the money could go somewhere else, and maybe look at the free market. And I know we have been, and obviously being linked to Julian Brandt as well, but I mean, you can still look there. If you're that desperate to get another midfielder, you can still look there without having to splash 30 to 20 or 25 to 30 million. So I think for me, Shay Charles, I'm not against it, but I'm not for spending 30 million on a player that we don't really need right now.
Yeah, it was a priority position.
But then, I suppose when you look at it, the other side, sorry that going you off.
No, you're good.
It all depends on the players that are, maybe Farr doesn't want on his plans or are looking to get a move on. Could be stacked, lads. Let's be honest with you. It could be Longstaff. It could be Tanaka. When you look at it like that and you're spending 30 million on a player who hasn't really proven himself, it could be the right thing in the end. But I still think 30 million is still a lot of money. It just makes me sick, lads. It does make me sick. I'm not going to lie.
Scott says here, sounds like the 25 or the 23 plus add-ons is set to be rejected. Time to move on. I agree, mate. I'm with you as well. Amy Clark, the wife, is in the building. She says, evening, lads. Evening, wife. Michael says, give Aronson to Monaco and splash 20 million on Balogun. I would take Balogun as well. He'd be a quality sign if Leeds could manage to get our hands on him. Good shout there, Michael. We haven't really had much striker links at all. Sinioko has been the only one. It was a very loose report. Delighted to have our first trip booked to Leeds. Yeah, heading over for the Leipzig game, the Leipzig friendly in a few weeks' time. So yeah, looking forward to that. Looking forward to the football, the real football coming back. BMG says here, I've not digested all the detail, but if it is our third bid, then it's probably our last one. Yeah. So it's most likely take it or leave it. I think they'll probably just about get him. It's 50-50. I think you're right, mate. It feels 50-50 to me as well. And if it is a third bid and there has been ongoing talks, well, surely Leeds are close then to, what Southampton actually want. So it is an interesting one. We could get a little bit of detail on this tomorrow. I think if it is rejected again, I think that's when Leeds will walk away.
I think, Southampton as well, they could be just, because it's so early in the window and they're looking for money being relegated, etc. They're desperate. they're quite desperate, and they're just going to put the prices through the roof on these players. So maybe they're going to wait. Dan, you mentioned it a few videos ago about another club, maybe one or two clubs to come in on this and start bidding more to more or less ramp up the value of Shay Charles and the money that they're looking for. So I can't see this one being done fairly quickly for Leeds. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Ellen Back says here, I'm amazed that Southampton don't want to do a part swap deal for Pirro going to St. Mary's. Saints leading goal scorer last year had 11 goals. Yeah, look at that. Obviously, us looking at it from a fan's point of view, you would say that deal makes sense, but there's one person in the middle of this, and this the sticking point is Joe Pereira. He doesn't want to go back to the Championship. We did hear this in January as well, that he wants to stay in the Premier League or rather move to a European club. So that's the sticking point. And because Joe Pereira is still under contract, at Leeds United, it's not like we can turn around and go, yeah, there you go, off you pop, you're heading down to Southampton and we're taking Shay Charles. So you need everybody to agree. Maybe the club have approached Joe Pereira, with the thought of, do you want to go down and play with Southampton in the Championship? Now, there's reports, obviously, him going to Rangers. We know, obviously, the 49ers, are the owners of Rangers as well. Maybe they want to get him up to Scotland to give their bit of push in the Scottish League next season as well. It looks like a logical one from a fan's point of view, but when you kind of look at the logistics and the contract side of things and, what it actually means, I don't think Joe Pereira drops back down to the Championship. I think he's probably said, I've proved myself down there. I want to move elsewhere. Gavin,
which is not,
sorry, Del, go on.
Which isn't a bad thing, simply for Pirro, top goal scorer, with Leeds and then obviously with Swansea as well. So you can't blame him.
Yeah, it's up to him. He's under contract. Gavin Bishop is here. He says there's hundreds of players like Shay Charles all over Europe for far less with more experience playing in the top flight. Absolutely, mate. And there is, and it's just unlocking them gems. And to be fair to the 49ers, we have done that. We have done that across the continent, picking up the likes of Tanaka. What did we get Tanaka for? 3.5 million. Picking up Anton Stack last summer for a fee around £20 million. So you're absolutely right there, Gavin. They obviously just looking at Shay Charles and, this is the second or third bid. They clearly like him and clearly Daniel Farke likes him. But I think you're right. Yeah, there is players across Europe that Leeds could be going for far less money.
Yeah, I agree there. I think you hit the nail on the head with that.
Yeah. I thought you were going to come in with more there. This like Suzuki are market opportunities. Yeah, it will be a market opportunity if we do get Suzuki, a little bit like Tanaka as well, mate. BMG says if it is 33 million plus add-ons, I would say that's right on the limit. Right now it doesn't seem like a bargain, but in a few years he might be worth 50 million. Yeah. Tough to know, and if it is a risk. Nail on the head, mate. It is, and it's always going to be a risk. It could turn out that Shay Charles, kicks on exactly like the way, Elise has done, Eze, Adam Wharton. When you pull players from the Championships, or sometimes they're flops, and it is just the risk that you take. You would hope if Leeds United do get him, he would kick on and fulfill his potential and maybe sell him on for a fee in years to come or be part of the Leeds United side for years to come. Kieran says, I agree that we need to walk away. They will look weak and desperate to the other clubs. Yeah, exactly, mate. And other clubs will be watching exactly what's going on here. And if Leeds do go for another midfielder, well, they know then Leeds have now trumped up 23 plus for Shay Charles. So other clubs are going to name that price, aren't they, as well? So sometimes you can be opening up your hand as well for other clubs to slap a price tag on their players as well. Swap deals are not allowed. I think they are, mate. I think you're allowed to do, swap plus cash, isn't it, once they're involved in the deal. But you need all parties to agree to it, don't you? Mm-hmm. I get that Pirro doesn't want Championship, but if he insists on staying, then he will end up being 2 years with barely any minutes, which would be dumb move for him. Rangers or Europe then maybe. I think it will be Rangers or maybe somewhere across Europe. I would be surprised if Joe Pereira does drop back down to the Championship. From what we've heard and what's came out of his camp is that he doesn't want to go back down to the Championship. He does want to move to Europe and possibly up to Rangers. So yeah, we'll see. Let's see what goes on there. Jason O'Keefe says Charles' deal has been rejected. Is that as of now? So yeah, that could be breaking news. Let me just check there to
Charles'
see.
deal to be rejected.
To be rejected, yeah. So Alex Cook says here. Yeah, so Alex Cook has it up here. LUFC's latest bid for Shay Charles set to be rejected. Total falls way short of the 23 million push add-ons being reported, short of Southampton's valuation. So it's time to walk away. It's all over the place, the Shay Charles one. Yeah. Do you believe Leeds needed to sell? Do you believe that Leeds needed to sell Pascal due to PSR? I do probably believe there was some sort of restrictions, but what doesn't add up to me, mate, is that we offered Pascal Stroke a contract. We wanted to keep him, so if he signed it, he was the one then to make way. Then as of him, and obviously look, at Leeds are obviously going to tell us what they want us to hear, and Brighton are going to tell us what they want us to hear, but. Let's be fair, it's all going to come out in the washes in a year's time when the accounts had to be shown. We'll know a little bit more then exactly who's telling the truth or not. If the sale of Pascal Stroke has saved us in regards to PSR, well then, look, it is what it is. But I think, look, without all that, I think the main sticking point in is Pascal Stroke didn't want to sign a contract extension. He wanted to move away from Leeds United. He wanted a fresh start. So that's the main sticking point for me. So it's move on. It's move on fairly quickly from Pascal Stroke, I think, and let's look at Leeds United. Sticking my now here, I think Charles would be announced with Wilson and the other with our home shirt. Not now, mate. Not now, mate. I think you probably sent that before we gave the news. Yeah, it looks like it's being rejected per Alex Cook. So it looks like it's done. Apparently, Southampton have a 15% sell-on clause with Mateus Fernandez. Why haggle over a couple of million? Yeah, exactly. They're going to get a nice windfall off that as well, aren't they? No swaps are allowed. Yeah, look, that's it about Shay Charles. Yeah, so Leeds have put in a second, maybe third bid. We're not too sure of 23 million plus add-ons. Alex Cook has said it's set to be rejected, so we're pretty much back to square one with that one. Dylan, let's move on and then talk about the goalkeeper department, Zion Suzuki. Again, there's been a lot of mixed reports. We got from a Japanese outlet today that all personal terms have been agreed with Leeds, and Zion Suzuki believes that it's a 4-year deal put on the table, and Leeds are about to bid 30 million, which we know is about 26 million pounds for Zion Suzuki. Again, in the UK, they're turning around saying that at this stage that it is just rumours, and Leeds aren't currently pursuing Zion Suzuki again, Dylan. So it's not black and white, this one, but what I do believe in all this is that Leeds are certainly looking for a goalkeeper.
Yeah, well, I think we have to. I think considering, Carl Darlow simply hasn't signed his contract. Obviously, we will speak about that. Very worrying day two, more or less. We should be getting players in, and nothing's really happening here at the minute. We have another goalkeeper that we spent 17 million on, who, as it stands right now, is going to be a backup for Leeds United, as far as I can see. There's rumours been floating about getting another goalkeeper in. The goalkeeper situation is so frustrating, lads. I can't vouch for it enough. It's so irritating because Leeds simply cannot get a goalkeeper, the goalkeeping position right. We did with Carl Darlow. I want Darlow to stay. I can't say it enough. I think Darlow really does need to stay because within the last 2 seasons he's came in, done his job really well. With Suzuki, he's a young prospect. Is the money an issue? For me, a little bit, but I suppose he could be for the future of Leeds United. But it all depends on the other way. If Perry does go, do we sell Perry and we're going to trump up a certain amount of cash for Suzuki, then I'll be all for it.
I think if we could somehow get 10 million for Perry, and then it is the reported fee of about 26 million pounds then for Suzuki, I think trumping up 16 million isn't too bad, Dylan. And you're getting a really good goalkeeper, and you're a young goalkeeper that could be your goalkeeper for the next 10 years if all goes well. He looked really good at the World Cup. He supposedly has really good rep at Palma as well. They've obviously signed a new goalkeeper, so it looks like they do, are basically getting ready for him to move on either way, if it is to Leeds United. Manchester United have looked at him before. Aston Villa are currently interested in him as well, and as of yesterday, Liverpool supposedly have shown a little bit of interest in Zion Suzuki as well. So you don't have them clubs looking at you and sniffing around you if you aren't a good goalkeeper. Look, he's 23, he still has a lot to learn. He's still very young in his career. He still has an awful lot of development to do. From what he's seen of him, the World Cup, he looks like a solid goalkeeper. He looks better than the goalkeepers we have here at the football club right now. I would think. Is he absolutely amazing? Is he an outstanding goalkeeper? No, not yet, but he could be. But I think he's better than the goalkeepers we currently have at the football club.
I agree. And to be fair, look, it's all loose links, none from the UK as of yet, but this is the third or fourth time that we've been more or less linked with Zion Suzuki. So for me, I suppose it all depends on what way the other way goes with Lucas Perry. Are we going to sell him? Because I suppose you're spending that money on a goalkeeper, which is fine, but you spent 17 million last season. it does look bad. It looks bad on the recruitment side. It looks bad on Lucas Perry. It just doesn't look good.
But you can't stick to Dylan and turn a blind eye to it either, because they could turn around and
No.
go, "Oh no, we'll just stick with Perry because that would look bad in us." You know, I think they're approaching
Yeah.
it head on,
Oh yeah,
saying
of course, yeah.
it didn't work out. Let's get back into a couple more comments. Connor says here, do you think anyone buys Peru? I think so. I think he goes to Rangers, mate.
Hope not.
At this moment in time, I do think he goes to Rangers, which I wouldn't like to see, because I obviously look, being from Ireland and have a link with Celtic and all that, but I think it's a fantastic move for him. I think it would be a brilliant signing for Rangers. They've already signed Maurice Shankland as well. Derek McGuinness has gone to Rangers. If Joe Peru goes up there, if you have Joe Peru and Maurice Shankland up beside each other as a top two for Rangers, man, they're winning the league for me. They're winning the league for me, and they could easily do well in Europe as well. Like, he'd be a fantastic signing for Rangers. And like that, Peru might look at it and say, look, I have a chance to go playing, European football up in Scotland as well. So he might fancy that. And then it will obviously help with the 49ers as well, because you're still in that, the 49er enterprise group. That looks like the most likely one for him, I think, anyway. I could be wrong. Connor says here, if we were going as high as that for Suzuki, why not try Trafford for the same money, test the waters? Yeah, well, I think probably Trafford might be a little bit more, mate. I think it is reported that Leeds could get him for 30, 35. I don't think so. I think Man City will look for more off him. I really do. Maybe if Leeds could go down a road, possibly with a year's loan, Man City might look at that and say, right, let's go for that. Because they obviously have Donnarumma there. Trafford isn't going to play much football. He might play a couple of cup games. So they're probably looking at Trafford saying that he could be a goalkeeper, in a couple of years' time. You never know. But obviously Maresca is coming in as well, and the decision, obviously lies with the new manager as well. I agree, though. Look, if you were offering me Suzuki or Trafford, I'd be taking Trafford. I think he's a phenomenal goalkeeper.
I think regardless of who we get, whether it's Suzuki or Trafford, look, maybe not either of them, but it's simply the situation with Darlow. Does Darlow want to stay here and be a second goalkeeper? If you're getting Trafford in, you're pushing Perry out, and Darlow's going to be like, well, I'm not going to get any football either. So to me, it seems like Perry and Darlow has a stance for me, and this is me just, putting two and two together here. They want first team football, and maybe Leeds aren't giving them that, and maybe that's the issue, and that's the reason why we've been linked with Trafford and Suzuki. So I suppose all goalkeepers could be leaving apart from Cairns, and yet again, we're still waiting on him to confirm his contract as well. So I don't know, lads. It's really up in the air at the minute for me with the goalkeepers. It's so frustrating.
Nick has a good one here. He says, chaps, realistically, how many sales will we make by the end of the window? Also, what centre, I think centre forward, is going to come in and sit behind in the bench behind Dominic Calvert-Lewin? I think Leeds do have a lot of sales. I think we counted yesterday, Dylan. I think it was a minimum of 8. So obviously Isaac Smith, Max Fober, Jack Harrison, probably Ramazani. I think Willie Nonto might move on. That's 5. Pirro 6. We had Gelhardt in there as well, and obviously Pascal has gone there as well. So I think you're probably talking about anywhere from probably 7 to 10. I think Nick might move on. So we definitely do need to bolster the squad a bit. And then you're right then in regards what centre forward is going to come in and sit in the bench behind Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Absolutely, you're right. You're hoping that the striker that comes in, has the confidence to say, I'm going to get in ahead of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I do think we need a different type of profile to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, though. I don't want same. I'd like someone that can kind of play off the shoulder with a little bit of pace, just so it mixes up the way Leeds United actually approach the game.
It's just given the opposition something different. We talk about it, obviously, against Arsenal, the trashing that we got. He changed it. Obviously, the Man City game, then everything kind of changed. It worked well for so long, but then we were being so predictable about things. And I suppose when you look at it, when you can't bring Calvert-Lewin into play and do his whole play that he usually does, the wingers are non-existent as well. So it's quite frustrating. So I agree with you, Darren. Whether it's formation or whether it's certain players of the team, we do need different player profiles for a striker and even wingers. But
I think so. I'd love Troy Parrott, lads. Troy Parrott.
Yeah, so would I.
I'd like Troy Parrott. I think he could prove himself. Shane is here, me good old mate. Shane is a West Ham fan. He says, would you take Somerville back at the club?
No.
Part of me says yeah, because his quality. The other side of it is he was reportedly, supposedly, how much you believe, I'm not too sure, a little bit of a bad egg in the dressing room. Supposedly the same at West Ham as well, but I think he'd be far too much money for Leeds United. I think Manchester United are looking at him as their number one target on the left-hand side. Supposedly 50, 60 million is what West Ham are looking for him. I think they probably get that because obviously he's gone to the World Cup with Holland. quality-wise, yeah, I'd love a player like Somerville, but I think, yeah, it looks like he's going to go to Manchester United. Mark is here. He says, now then, lads. Now then, Mark. Good to see you in the building, pal. Hope you're keeping well on this Thursday. BMG says, if Perry was about 15 million on a 5-year deal, or 16 million on a 4 years deal, I guess that we need about 12 to break even. If we can get that, we must take it, lads. Lucky he had a decent FA Cup. Yeah, I would snap your hand off for 12 million for Lucas Perry, mate. I think 10 would probably
10.
be pushing it. I'd love to take 10 from him, but
I think 10 we're actually being a bit greedy here, lads, at the minute.
Yeah. Stephen says, and there's still lots of money to be made and saved on wages and moving the Deadwood on of the likes of Pirro, Jacobs. I think that could be Gallagher, maybe. Harrison, Vober. I don't know any Jacobs, Steve. Harrison, Vober, potential James and Longstaff as well. Yeah, Dan James could be a shout as well. If a club comes in for Dan James, you could see him move on. It's going to start to heat up a little bit, lads, I think now. Rob says here, hi guys, if Darlow leaves to join Everton or Scum, he won't be number one at either. He's getting more of a chance of playing at Leeds. I think so as well, mate. But then Darlow's probably looking at, seeing all the reports that Leeds are looking at Suzuki. He's probably gone to Daniel Farke on the board and says, what's going on if you're going for the keeper, or rather, move on and go elsewhere. And he's looking after himself, Carl Darlow. Obviously the age is, I think he's 35 now. If he was to move on, it's probably going to be the last contract of his career. So he's probably looking at it. I need to go play somewhere. BMG says Harrison, Smith, Vober, Pirro, Ramazani, Joffe, ideal. And then Byram to go as well. Yeah, I forgot about Byram as well. Then it's the likes of Nonto, Longstaff, Tanaka, who we can upgrade on and raise some cash on. Yeah, I think so. Right, so that's it about Suzuki. So very similar reports as of yesterday. Just came out from a Japanese outlet today. Again, we don't know how reliable they are, obviously being Japanese. That a deal has been agreed in personal terms of being agreed for Suzuki, but nothing concrete over here from the UK journalists, or the reliable ones that Leeds have actually put in a bid or personal terms have been agreed. Let's talk about a potential outgoing that we just heard, and this came from 442, and it is Isaac Smith, and we have been talking about clearing that Deadwood. And unfortunately to say, it probably does feel a little bit harsh. Isaac Smith does fall into that category of surplus requirements, I feel, at Leeds United. So saying FC Basel and Young Boys are interested in taking Isaac Smith, Dylan. Yeah, he has to go. If we can get a decent fee from maybe million, 2-3 million, maybe for pushing the boat there, move him on. I think he's not going to play, is he?
No. Look, there's just a lot of deadwood at the club. No disrespect to Isaac Smith, because he kind of came in late at the end, but Farke didn't rate him at all. Then we go back to the championship side when we did need cover, where it was fear about being injured. We're bringing someone else on. Schmidt was never getting a look, and sometimes he was even left out of the squad. So for me, there's no point of a continuing anymore. Whatever we can get from, we'll take him. We'll take we'll take it on our chin more or less. But for me, when it comes to Isaac Smith, as you just mentioned, it's deadwood. Just get our money and walk away.
Yeah, I agree as well. And this should be the start of the clear out, Dylan, absolutely.
Yeah,
and
of course.
what Theo mentioned there in his last comment as well, it frees up a lot of wages as well. I would love, and I know it's not as black and white, I'd love to see Legion just clear all them players out. Let's see what we have, what way the land lies, and then we can kind of know what players we're going for, what fees we're going for, what's their wages, and all that sort of thing. So
that's the ideal way.
Ideal.
We said this last season.
Never like that.
All the dead won't go first. Then all of a sudden, Bober went out alone. Harrison went out alone. Could happen again, lads. Could happen again.
That Harrison 90k one, that has to be done. That has to be done. We can't have that again this season. Stephen says, I want Darlow to stay, but not as an automatic starter. I still think that we need to ship Perry out and look at bringing in a keeper who plays to Farke's strengths. I agree, man. I agree, mate, 100%. And it's probably, it feels like we're probably digging Perry out a little bit. I don't think Perry is a terrible goalkeeper. I don't think he's along the lines of Elan Meslier. I just don't think he suits Daniel Farke's style, and I think it's shown that Daniel Farke doesn't fully trust him, because he's dropped him twice last year, and then that makes me look at it kind of saying, well, Daniel Farke doesn't fully trust him, and if he doesn't, well, then we need to move him on and get better. And Noiley, Smith and Voba are the types of profiles that we really need. Sadly, neither of them are good enough, it seems. Shame, because I like Smith briefly, and then Voba then when he first arrived. I did like Voba when he did first come in. I thought he was going to be a good signing, but I don't think he showed any loyalty to the football club whatsoever, particularly that first season back in the championship. And he obviously was in the kit, wanted to stay at Leeds, wanted to be here, and then he jumped ship then the first sign of any sort of movement and went out on loan. So yeah, I'd be happy enough to get rid of
I
him.
think
So.
for Fark though, Fark's mentioned it loads of times. He wants players here that want to be here and want to play and fight for the badge. And I think that goes for all clubs and all players. So if they don't want to be here, you know, Jack Harrison as well included in that, but go, be done with it. I just think I've no you know, love for Max Over. I'm being completely honest with you, lads. That's just.
He's not as bad as Harrison, but he's in the same ilk, I think.
Yeah, of course.
They took up the opportunities. They got relegated with the football club. They weren't good enough that season. The relegation, the first sign of chance that they got, they jumped ship. That's why Brendan Aronson does have a little bit of my respect, and I know he gets a lot of flack. He came back into a very hard situation, lads, with everybody hating him. I was at his first game back against Portsmouth, that 3-3 draw. It was the first time ever in my life as a Leeds United fan that I seen a player coming onto a pitch getting booed. Our own player. Like, it was horrendous. What he had to go through to come back to this club and, you know,
And
scored and do what he did and all to come back. I respect him a lot for that. That's a man. That's a man. Not the likes of Max Vover and Jack Harrison jumping ship and no loyalty at all. He came back here into a very sticky situation. So anyway, look, we will leave it there. That is it for your transfer news roundup for Thursday evening. So yeah, a little bit like yesterday, very mixed. Leeds United supposedly gone back in with another bid for Shay Charles. Supposedly it is set to be rejected. Zion Suzuki, again, reports coming out of Japan that Leeds United have agreed personal terms, but nothing yet on the UK side. And then Isaac Smith looks like he could be departing Leeds United as well, hopefully at the start of many outgoings and Leeds United clearing the deadwood this summer. So we leave it there. Do us a massive favour before you leave. Do us smash a like on the stream. And of course, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button for us as well. So mind yourselves, mind each other. Catch us tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Good luck.